So I have a guest with me here in studio. This is Dylan Flynn from Dylan Flynn and Dead Poets. So thanks for coming in. Thanks for coming in to speak with me today. I suppose just to kind of get us started off. Well, sorry to drag you in with the weather and all that kind of thing. I suppose just to get started off, how would you describe your music to someone that hasn't heard it?
At the moment, I think we're kind of describing it as indie pop. Like, when I first started playing as a solo project, like didn't have any of the lads in the band, and I kind of wrote it. I wrote it all on acoustically on my guitar, and when I kind of started bringing people in, then it started getting a small bit kind of rockier. So I suppose it started off acoustic at the start, but then now that we've kind of formed a full band around it, it's kind of more indie pop, I suppose. Do
you think that was kind of a thing of like more creative input, or was that your idea, or like as the band kind of formed, and do you think your differences kind of?
No, I think it was 100% creative input, as you said, because all of us in the band came from like completely different backgrounds and stuff like that. You know, I came from a very pop background. The keyboard and saxophone player that we brought in recently, he's from a very electronic background. And the drummer and bass player, they would be from kind of a pop punk kind of metal background, and my guitar player would be from a folk trad background. So like, there's a huge like pool of different genres and stuff there. They're always bouncing around, and each kind of come through in their own when we're writing songs and kind of forming the structure of the songs together. So yeah, I think that definitely did come from all of us.
So I suppose, tell me about the actual process. Like, I know I've heard you have a bit of history playing by yourself. Is that right?
Yeah.
So I suppose, how did you go from that to forming this band?
So originally I was actually in a band called Monday Villains that I was in from school, and I was with three other lads that I had met when I was in secondary school, and I was in that band from first year of secondary school all the way up until like sixth year.
Okay.
And then kind of we went to college, and a couple of lads moved away, and I was just like, okay, I'll stop. I basically stopped playing music for a while, and then I was like, Jesus, like why have I was in Mary I and wasn't really enjoying my time there, and I was like, I should probably do something else. So I started playing music on my own, writing songs on my own, and dropped out of Mary I and ended up going here. So I played songs on my own for about a year, and then when I met the lads in LIT, I started forming the band, and had all these songs written and started bringing them to them. And the drummer Gavin was the first guy to come in, and he was laying down beats. And it's kind of when he introduced that, I knew they were kind of going to go in a rocky direction. So we kind of played our first gig about 2 years ago, and from then on, we just started growing the band from there. And usually what happens is I'll write the songs, bring them to the band. Probably first of all Keegan, who's the other rhythm guitar player, he'll give some harmony vocals and some lead guitar lines, and then we'll bring in the bass and the drums and stuff like that. But it changes all the time, and sometimes we might even go into the studio first, and the song might build completely differently when that happens. And I think that really shows in our live performance, because you can see we're all kind of feeding off each other, and everyone's trying different things all the time. So
yeah, can you give us an introduction to the other group members?
Yeah, so there's me, Dylan Flynn, and then there's Keegan Ford on rhythm guitar and backing vocals, George Broadbank on bass, Gavin Murray on drums, and Chris Brinton on saxophone and keyboard.
Okay, so I suppose you've kind of given us a bit of the creative process, but do you ever get like, is it hard to write, do you think, or does it come naturally, or is it like work?
Yeah, if I think about it too much, it gets hard.
Okay.
Like I feel like there'll be weeks where I could go 2 weeks without writing a song, and then I could write 3 songs in a week, you know. And sometimes it is sitting down and being like, okay, I'm just going to do it today, you know, because if you don't try and do it, it's not going to happen. Like, you know, as like Brian Eno once said, creativity doesn't come looking for you. You have to go looking for it. Like, you know, like there is times where you'd be sitting there and an idea will come into your head, but at the same time, you have to act on that idea for it to actually become something, you know. People can be lazy and have all the creative ideas in the world, but nothing will ever come from it if they don't try. So I suppose you do have to put a bit of effort in, but when you enjoy it, it doesn't really feel like effort, you know.
Yeah, so like how often would you meet to write, and how much, I suppose I'm trying to ask is, would you ever write stuff that isn't used, or throw stuff out, or?
Yeah and no. Usually if I write something that, I usually won't bring something to the band if I don't like it.
Okay.
But there's been times where I've brought a song to the band, and when it's become the full band sound, it's not really the sound I was going for.
Okay.
And it's not something that I feel right now would work in our set list or something like that. So we have a couple of songs like that. And there's one song in particular that called Waste of Time that I like, but it doesn't really fit our sound at the moment. And the lads really like it. We probably will implement it later on in our career, but it just doesn't work right now. And that does happen sometimes, but usually no, I won't bring a song to the band if I don't like it. And usually I won't finish writing it if I don't like it.
Yeah, and I understand that you're working on your first EP, isn't that right?
Yeah, we released it a couple of months back. So that was the first one, Encounters, back in November. So we're still in the process of like releasing videos and stuff for that, but like the actual thing came out last November. So
okay. Does a lot of planning have to go into that? Like, does
loads, man? Because like there was that EP took from starting recording to finishing, like master and sending out everything. It took about a year and 4 months.
Yeah.
And I didn't expect it to take that long. Like 6 months or 3 months after we had started recording, and I was telling people, "Oh yeah, the EP is going to be out soon." And then for a year, I had people on my back being like, "Oh, when's this EP coming out?" And I was just like, I didn't expect this much work to go into it. And I think partly that was the reason, because we decided to do a lot of it ourselves in the end.
Okay.
We were working out in Ballyhan Studios, and it was going okay, but it wasn't the sound that we wanted.
Yeah.
So we ended up taking it on ourselves, and we were kind of learning as we went. We re-recorded a lot of the stuff ourselves, produced it ourselves, mixed it ourselves, and then sent it off for mastering. So that did take a lot of planning. And then kind of the promotion side of things then on the other end, like I didn't really expect how much work that would be as well. So there's always these small things that you don't really expect in the back of your head. You think, oh yeah, I just go into the studio, record the songs, mix them, put them out. But there's all these small things like getting the artwork ready, getting it out to the distribution services so it gets up on Spotify and iTunes on time, and sending it out to radio and blogs so they all get it. So yeah, it does take a bit of work.
Yeah, so it's definitely a big process. What do you think was the biggest challenge?
The biggest challenge, I think, was deciding when the songs were done. Like there was a lot, like, you know, my drummer Gavin would have a mixer's view of it because he was mixing everything, but I would have more of a perfectionist view in it because they're like the songs that I wrote. So I always wanted them to be perfect, and he was just like, "Man, it sounds great." Like he was like, "You're not going to get much better than this. Like, you know, just let it go." And I was like, "Okay." But now it's actually been the opposite. Now the fact that it's out and I'm like, "Oh yeah, it sounds great." He's like, "Oh yeah, but there's these things I would go back and change." So, you know, I suppose the song's never really done. It's just about, are you ready to let it go? Like, you know?
So it's about finding those. It's about finding that time to just be like, okay, it's done.
Yeah, exactly.
I suppose. Do you have a favorite song that you've done, or is it like, is everyone like your baby? Like you can't pick a favorite?
No, I can definitely pick a favorite. Like not in terms of the song, like the writing of the song, but how the sounds. I think Wait, the song you're going to hear in a few minutes, it's definitely the best recorded and the best produced song we have. And I think it's because we put it was in the middle of all the work for the EP. We finished the first single, which was something new, and put that out. And that was like our first venture into doing it all ourselves. And the second time around, we were doing Wait, and we kind of knew what we were doing then, and we kind of knew how we wanted it to sound. So we put a lot more time and effort into it. And I think that's really, that's my favorite off the EP at the moment.
How is it going with recording the music videos? Because I know that the music video for Wait came out last week or the week before. So how are you doing a music video for all the songs on the EP?
Yeah, that's the plan at the moment. Yeah, doing a music video for each 4 of the main tracks off the EP. We did something new first, which we shot in actually Cratloe Student Village with all our friends from college and stuff like that. I kind of wanted just our first video to be kind of, you know, happy-go-lucky and just have a bit, basically like a party scene of everyone having fun, because that's what the song's kind of about. Like it's kind of about making new relationships and stuff like that and having fun. And then the second song, Wait, I had this idea in my head of like me running behind a car, and like someone shooting from the back. So that was the main element of the video, and that kind of represents the longing in the video, and in the song kind of acts as an extension of the song, because the song is about trying to hold on for someone and trying to ask someone to wait for you, but you can't hold on to everything forever, you know. So I hope people see that the video kind of is an extension of that. So we'll be shooting a couple more videos over the next couple of weeks. We're shooting one tomorrow actually, which should be hopefully out in 2 weeks' time, I'd say. I'm not going to say which song it's for, but yeah, so I'm excited for that.
So you've kind of touched on there, and I wanted to ask, when you're writing a song, like, do you think that much goes in from all of you? Is it like a personal experience? Do you think that you're trying to get across anything, or is it just to make something that sounds good?
No, it's definitely a personal experience. I have written songs where they don't mean anything, and I'm just there, and I'm like, okay, I can't really emotionally connect to this, and I don't feel I sing it as well, because, you know, I try and put myself in the mindset of where I was when either I wrote the song or how I was feeling that feeling from the song, when I was feeling that, and I feel that allows me to get into performance more. And, you know, I try and I tell the lads what the songs are about as well. And I hope that, you know, they can kind of take some of that emotion and put it into the performance of it as well.
Kind of relate to it in some
Yeah,
way.
exactly. Yeah. And I think that's the thing about the live show as well. When we're playing live, when we have time, if we have like an hour long set when we do our headline shows, I do try and take time in between the songs to tell people what they're about, so that people can emotionally connect to them and kind of relate their own stories to them and feel something, because I feel like that sticks in people's heads when people are actually able to connect their own lives to your stories, you know.
And do you think people do that? Do you think people like
hope they do.
understand a lot of the time? Or do you think
like-
there's stuff that goes over people's heads?
I'd say there is stuff that goes over people's heads. There's songs like that I've written about like slightly more serious issues,
Okay.
and people have like come up to me being like, "Oh man, I love that song," and I don't think that's a coincidence. Like, you know, I think people relate to scenarios that they've had in their life, especially ones that cause such an emotional response as a bad scenario or something like that. So I think people do have an emotional connection to them, which is good.
So do you think that people kind of respond more if you put in more into it
100%.
emotionally or personally? Would that be correct to say?
I think I wasn't fully aware of that at the very start. Like, when I first started writing songs, I nearly didn't pour everything into it. I was kind of like not scared, but I didn't think people want to hear it. And then I wrote a song called Memories, which was the second single I released when we were doing the solo thing. It was just Dylan Flynn, and when I released that song, people were like, "Oh, this song's unreal!" And it's a song about, you know, me growing up and having all these memories of growing up with my friends and stuff like that, and stories of relationships I've had. And people were like, "Oh, this song is great!" Like, and that was the first time I realized, like, oh, people actually want to hear stories about other people. Like, you know, people. That's the reason people follow an artist, you know, to hear their backstory and know who they are. So I think now I kind of try and lean into that a small bit more and be a bit more open in my writing.
Yeah, I suppose even speaking for myself, like I think people on like almost subconsciously kind of respond to that kind of thing.
100%.
I suppose like we're nearly out of time actually,
Oh,
which is
that's
a
flew, man.
surprise. That's after flying. You're going to play a bit of a song for us.